What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to showcase some Cradily gameplay in the Open Great League. This is a very unique pick, having the rock and grass typing and very efficient rock and grass type moves at that. Grass Knot is one of the most efficient grass type charge moves in the game, and Rock Tomb, we all know, is one of the most annoying attacks they've added in recent history. A rock type move that debuffs every single time and does a lot of damage. Combine that with Bullet Seed, you got a very annoying Pokemon. So let's get into the battles. All right, first game of the day, we have our Corviknight as our lead up against an Ariados, potentially one of the best leads we could possibly see here. Our opponent safe swaps a Shadow Sableye, a Pokemon that, well, our Shadow Drapion is a good answer to. It's not a hard response where I don't think I can always guarantee switch if they do end up baiting us here, if I'm down enough energy at least. In comes the Crunch. It isn't going to one-shot them. Poison Sting being resisted makes it just a little bit awkward. I know I can survive a move no matter what it's going to be. And the thing is, Cradily with Rock Tomb is not all that bad into that Ariados. So if I can get a shield advantage and a farm down as well, then also that might not be the worst spot for me to be in. I go for another Poison Sting there, but the Shadow Claws down. In comes our Cradily. We get a couple of Bullet Seeds of energy. They throw a charge move. And the thing is, I know Foul Play is going to do a lot less damage than potentially a lunge from that Ariados. Might as well no-shield this and see what our opponent wants to do. In comes that Ariados. Kind of obviously have to bring this in right now. I have Rock Tomb ready to go before even a lunge will be reached, meaning it is undebuffed. They're already down one shield. Do they shield this? They do not. It does a massive amount of damage, but we are in a bit of an awkward spot where I know I can't farm down a bug and poison type Pokemon with Bullet Seed, so I do have to throw another charge move if I do want to knock this thing out. They try to make a Rock Tomb catch, but I mean, it's a Quagsire at this point. There's no way we can lose this game, right? We have these Grass Knots that can one-shot this Pokemon. We're almost at another one already. They try to call a Rock Tomb bait. Obviously, not much they can do there in the end. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, Corviknight up against a Unnovan Stunfisk, potentially one of the worst leads we could see here. While my set attacks are super effective, I know for a fact these discharges are going to do a lot of damage, and as well, our Shadow Drapion doesn't necessarily want to take Mud Bombs, but I do have super effective Aqua Tail that I can spam into this Pokemon if they do opt to stay in this matchup. I land the first Aqua Tail here, which does do quite a bit of damage. Our opponent does go for a Mud Bomb, and in comes a Golisopod. This isn't looking amazing for us because I know Golisopod can win CMP, and it looks like this one will throw right when we reach the crunch. And because of this shield advantage that they're going to have now, I don't know exactly how I can knock this out, as well as potentially that Unnovan Stunfisk in the lead. Crunch is going to draw a shield. I'm going to swap out, if I can here, back into our Corviknight, our opponent throwing an Aqua Jet. The thing is, we don't really have a hard answer to this Pokemon on the entire team, so I'm trying to get as much damage as I can across the board, kind of maybe just leverage energy into this Pokemon, with the Sky Attack being thrown now, right before the Ufisk can swap back in. Do they shield? I hope they don't. I need this thing gone right now. They actually do let it go, which is nice to see. It means there's a little bit of reprieve from that Pokemon's damage. Obviously, Exes would do a lot to our Cradily. Those Shadow Claws and Aqua Jets add up against Corviknight, and Drapion is so low at this point. We actually end up landing that Sky Attack there. While it is resisted and while Ascent attacks are not doing a ton of damage, they will be forced into throwing a Charge Attack against us. I'm going to try to farm down with Cradily if I can, but their final Pokemon is going to be a Superior. This Pokemon is very tricky to take out. I don't have a lot of fast food pressure left with our Cradily. We have Bullet Seed, which is resisted by Grass type damage, and while Rock Tomb is a good move, I'm not sure it's good enough in this game to two-shot this Pokemon. Superior is well known for its bulk. In comes a Charge Move, Frenzy Plant, going to do about half of our remaining HP. In comes yet another Rock Tomb. If they no-shield this move, I maybe could go for a full farm down with our Drapion. I'm going to try to right now. Swap into Drapion and see what we can do. We're able to put them at 1 HP, but I know that Ufisk has a lot of energy, and if they spam out 2 Mud Bombs into our Cradily, they win the game. So my win condition right now is trying to go for a full Bullet Seed down across the board. They reach a charge move. If they're at back-to-back, they win. If they are not at back-to-back, there's a chance we can Bullet Seed down. But unfortunately for us, this Pokemon just a little bit too spammy here. They're already at another Mud Bomb. I don't think I survived this move. Hold on, maybe we do. Oh, but they have another move on this Superior. Not great stuff to see. Maybe I should have gone for a Shield KO. I think Cradily can win this CMP. They might have been at 1 HP, but, anyway, GG to our opponent there. Very tricky game, almost came back. Next matchup, a Shadow Blastoise in the lead. Very spammy Hydro Cannon user. A little bit bulkier than its previous counterpart of Shadow for Alligator, but because rollout is non-stab, it's not going to do a lot of fast pressure to us here. I know I can survive 1 Hydro Cannon, go for a potential charge move, and get a shield from this Pokemon. They might no-shield as well, so it's not really a guarantee that I get a shield, so I'm not going to go for an Iron Head bait. I would expect one, but yeah, it's always a 50-50 on if your opponents actually are going to want a shield on a Pokemon like this. In comes our Shadow Drapion. Now that we got a shield advantage, I know that an energy lead on Shadow Drapion is going to be dangerous. We end up seeing, I thought that was a Pangoro at first. No, this is actually a Scrafty. Probably the newly buffed Scrafty with Upper Hand as well, which if that is the case, I don't want to take that charge move. It's a very efficient charge move, being able to do as much damage as a move like Scald, or Sludge rather, and also having Crunch's defense drop chance. So it's like the best of both of the most broken moves in the game right now, which means Scrafty is potentially an interesting pick to use. They go for Upper Hand. It does not knock us out thanks to our shield, and it also does not debuff our defense stat, that is, because we were able to be lucky this game. Sometimes it takes a little bit of luck to win in the Go Battle League. Thanks to that lack of a defense drop there, we're able to survive the fast pressure and get a crunch off into this Blastoise. Crunches and are going to end up getting the shield here from our opponent. And now Cradily is going to try its best to close out this endgame matchup. If they have Ice Beam, it could do quite a bit of damage, but if this is just a Hydro, I know I survive it pretty easily. I am going to go instantly for the charge move, but this is not looking amazing for us right now. It needs to be something in the backline Cradily can basically one-shot if I want a chance to win this. In comes a Pidgeot, actually, of all things. I think there might be some win conditions for us right now. Rock Tomb is a very efficient move. I know it will lower their attack stat as well, and Corviknight, if it can reach a charge move, should be able to close out this game. We don't barely reach a Rock Tomb before their Air Cutter will be thrown. This will knock out our Cradily, but because now they're energy dry, I think we might be able to survive long enough on Corviknight to reach an Iron Head. With that said, our fast food pressure is doing nothing to them, and if this is a Brave Bird, there's a chance it actually does put us into Gust down range before I can reach a charge move. Brave Bird does land. That's a lot of damage. We don't get the Iron Head off, and unfortunately, we cannot farm down this Pidgeot. 1 HP survive. That is actually so tragic. Unfortunately, not able to pull out the win in that game. Next matchup, a Low Kicks in the lead. While you might expect this to be a very good lead for our Steel and Flying type Pokemon, we do have to keep in mind Low Kicks is going to do a lot of faster pressure. These Sucker Punches already doing about a third of my HP. In comes a Trailblaze to boost their attack stat as well. I'm going to go for the Sky Attack, and then I'm likely going to swap out to our Shadow Drapion to force this Pokemon to swap out and clear their boost. In comes a Sky Attack and a Shield from this Pokemon. In comes another Charge Attack, likely going to be a Trailblaze, or rather an X-Scissor thrown into us. After that Trailblaze boost, it would do a ton of damage. I have to shield this up. Our Poison Stings are adding up, and Aqua Tail would do a decent chunk of damage, but while Low Kicks is squishy, I'm not sure it would knock out from this range. Our opponent could opt to no shield if they want to. They do let that one go. I can outpace though to the second charge move. Aqua Tail already going to be thrown once again, likely going to either draw a shield or get a KO on a very tricky Pokemon. They do actually opt to shield, so I'm going to shield in return, farm all the way down if I can. The switch clock is coming up in just a second here, so if they swap, I can mirror it as well. In comes a Toxapex. I know I have Crunch ready to go against this, and my Corviknight in the backline is ready to wall all of the fast pressure that this Poison-type Pokemon can have. Unfortunately, we do not get a defense drop on that Crunch, which means now, while we will be in a good matchup here, there's a chance this Toxapex might survive long enough to get to another Brine. Sky Attack and Sand Attack is going to try its best. This right here is one of the matchups that really makes Corviknight not look too great. Sand Attack somehow does not do that much damage to a Toxapex. It's super effective, whereas they're doing like resisted Poison Jab damage. They're doing a lot more fast pressure than I am to them, despite the type effectiveness not on paper supposed to be in that direction. But yeah, we're going to try our best here to come back in, Shadow Drapion, go for this Aqua Tail. Maybe I should have gone for a Crunch, honestly. I'm not sure this knocks out. But it's close enough, I guess. And their final Pokemon revealed as a Diggersby. We have Aqua Tail ready to go. We have a Cradily as well. That can go for a Grass Knot against this to knock them out. I thought maybe I could reach another Charge Attack there. Not quite able to, but Cradily is going to be able to resist these normal type fast moves, go for super effective Bullet Seeds as well as Grass Knots. As long as I don't get debuffed here, we're in a great spot. We get debuffed. That's just how the Go Battle League works sometimes. But we can still go for a Grass Knot, nearly knock them out here, and go for a full Bullet Seed down against this Pokemon. We're almost at back-to-back charge moves, and I know this Diggersby, while it will reach one more charge attack against us, will not reach a Fire Punch after the fact, so I think Cradily should be in a pretty good spot. Switching Sands able to land against us. Low Kicks does a massive amount of fast food pressure. Actually, I probably shouldn't have overfarmed as much as I did here. I thought I could Bullet Seed down, but now we're actually in a bit of a precarious spot. They come in Diggersby, but we can potentially Bullet Seed down. That was a very close endgame here, but we have a charge move ready to go against this Toxapex. That was a lot more precarious than I thought it would be. Luckily, though, Cradily getting a nice little endgame sweep in this match. GG to our opponent. All right, next game, Corviknight up against an Annihilate, a very awkward lead actually for our team. We don't have a single Pokemon that resists fighting type damage, and we know Annihilate's big thing is ramping up its damage as quickly as possible, so I am very worried about what this thing is about to do to me. Rage Fist comes through, it does about half of our HP after the counter damage. They get another counter through, and I throw this Iron Head to try to bait a shield from this Pokemon. We do get a shield, and now my Drapion's going to come in and try its best to land Crunches against this Annihilate if we can. I could have gone for the CMP, but I thought they might have attempted a catch here. In comes a Rage Fist. Who would have thought from an Annihilate? They just go straight Ghost-type charge moves into dark types. As long as it boosts their attack, that's all they care about. But they also come in with a Bastiodon, which, I mean, aside from just being a very lame Pokemon to see here, is going to take super effective Aqua Tail damage, but it also is bulky enough where it can take 3 of these before they even have to worry about shielding. Aqua Tail coming through. That's the second one. I have a third one ready to go, but I don't really want to waste this energy into a Bastiodon at this point. I want to keep this energy for that Annihilate in the backline if I can. I'm going to try our best here to now come in Cradily, build up even more energy. We did a lot of fast pressure into Annihilate. There's a chance that Cradily can knock out Annihilate with enough energy if I keep a Grass Knot ready to go. In comes a Stone Edge against us. It will do a decent amount of neutral damage, but we have a lot of energy across the board. Annihilate comes in. Do they shield the Grass Knot, or do they call that I might bait them? In comes a Grass Knot, and unfortunately for us, because we are the Cradily into the non-Shadow Annihilate, it's not quite enough damage to knock out, but a Rock Tomb going to be enough to pick up the KO. They don't shield. I have a lot of energy on Shadow Drapion. I have my Corviknight as well, that if the Bastion comes back in, we can potentially use that, or, you know, a Wigglytuff too, that works just as well. We have the resistance to this fairy type damage. We have Iron Head as well, which we can throw to potentially draw a shield or get a massive amount of damage into this Pokemon. They no shield. That's interesting. I don't think that's the play, in my opinion, honestly. That's going to be the highest hitting move that I have left to my name here. Bastion comes in, and the thing is, this is not the old days of Skarmory into Bastiodon. I have super effective Sand Attack. I get the Simul KO. I think at this point, come in with our Cradily, absorb all of the charge pressure that they have against us, and then I have all the energy on my Shadow Drapion. All I have to do here is win the game with my 2 Aqua Tails that I have in the backline. In comes a charge move. I know a Swift or an Icy Wind will likely knock us out, but we have so much energy here on Shadow Drapion. I have an Aqua Tail as my first move. I have a Crunch as well if I want to go for some BM against this amazing team from our opponent, so might as well go for the Crunch, knock out this Wigglytuff, and take down the Annihilate Bleed. Very tricky matchup there, but able to dance around it. GG to our opponent. All right, next matchup, we're going to see a Corviknight into a Tinkaton, potentially one of the best Pokemon you can use against a Tinkaton in the entire game, and a safe swap of a Diggersby. Right now, this game's looking pretty good for us, but we have to keep in mind they're likely trying to bait out a Pokemon like my Cradily right now, right? They have a Tinkaton in the lead that, on paper, does hard wall basically all of my energy on Cradily. If I was running Bulldoze, I guess I'd have some coverage against it, but we know that's not a great move, and I'm also not running it, so it doesn't even matter here. In comes another Scorching Sands from the Diggersby, and while I will survive this will put me pretty low, potentially into range where if they start shielding, maybe they could quick attack me down the longer this matchup goes. With that said, I would be a little bit surprised if they wanted to go for a play like that, because at this point, I have such a big energy lead on our Cradily that if they did that, I would just be able to get all of their shields. I might only have to shield once to even have to respond to that. They did just let their Diggersby go. Tinkaton comes back in, and we'll get a nice little Rock Tomb debuff on them. I go for the Grass Knot, knowing that it does do a bit more raw damage than the Rock Tomb, and they are almost certainly going to swap out immediately when I come in with my Corviknight here. So I didn't really feel like going for the debuff was the play. Final Pokemon revealed as a Jellicent, and yet this game is looking pretty over. But with that said, there is still 2 shields in play for both sides. There is a little bit of wiggle room. The switch clocks will come up at some point. If they can get like a combo play, maybe like a CMP sack swap, or maybe something along those lines, this game could still be a little bit tricky. Crunch comes through, it gets the first shield, we have a second Crunch ready to go. The best thing about Drapion is all I need to do here is land a single Crunch. I can survive 1 Surf, which means I'm always going to have that shield advantage in this matchup. I can shield this move right now, and I'm going to watch for them to swap out. I know Tinkaton has some energy on it, so if they ever swap, I'm going to make sure to counteract that swap with a swap of my own. We end up catching a charge move, almost certainly going to be a Bulldoze, and this Tinkaton wasting a ton of energy in this matchup. But look at these Sand Attacks. They're not doing a lot of damage here. Another charge move already reached from this Tinkaton. It's going to be yet another Bulldoze. Fishing for debuffs, they do get one against us here. Potentially now my Corviknight will start taking a little bit more fast move and charge move pressure. Comes the player off. No, another Bulldoze, actually. So a lot of debuffs potentially being thrown against us by our opponent, but we have 100 energy on Corviknight. Just go for an Iron Head here. I have energy on Drapion. I have a shield still to my name. This game is looking pretty good for us. I just have to go for this Sky Attack, and then either Aqua Tail or Crunch to finish off this match. Sky Attack being thrown, it's not enough to knock out, but I have the Crunch banked in the backline. Go for this against the Jellicent, and this should secure us the match, and GG to our opponent. All right, next game here, we're going to see Corviknight up against a Thievul of all things. All right, that's a bit of a crazy Pokemon to see. honestly not a great Pokemon because these Sucker Punches do quite a bit of damage. We know it has access to Night Slash as well, so while I can survive these moves, the longer this goes on, just the longer this damage is going to be like really annoying, and they got a boost that is even more annoying than in general against a Pokemon like this. I go for the Iron Head bait. They no shield that move. Very good call by them. And in comes the Gastrodon with the super effective Mud Slap damage against us. This is not looking ideal for us right now. I'm not going to lie. This is kind of bad, I would have to say. The best thing about it, though, is Corviknight does generally resist all of the moves that a Gastrodon could throw. That might have been a CMP as well, which might get us back in the game a little bit, but it really depends on the final Pokemon and how they play this out. Actually, a pretty smart play by them here, going for the no shield on Gasho, getting a massive energy lead on this Thievul. Now I have to just invest fully in my Cradily. I'm going to no shield this, try our best to survive, but we're tripped down so much. Night Slash is almost enough to knock us out. They thought I might get another Iron Head. I don't think I would have, but at this point, I'm happy they waste their energy. I'm just hoping for another Mud Slapper in the backline. It's actually a Talonflame, which is maybe winnable. I can go for a Rock Tomb here, but the awkward thing is I don't know if I can outpace this the longer this goes on. I'm going to have to throw on bad timing at some point. I'm almost sure of it because I have to go on 3 Bullet Seeds if I want to throw on what would conventionally be good timing. And by the time I would throw 3 Bullet Seeds here, they'd probably just make me go over 100 energy. So I do have to throw after 1 Bullet Seed. I get a second debuff off into this Pokemon, and this is going to be a very close endgame. Rock Tomb comes through, it's able to get their final shield, and our Bullet Seeds aren't doing a lot, but all I need to do is land that one charge move, and we should be able to win this game. Fly comes through, it's able to draw our final shield. I'm almost at the next Rock Tomb, but they're at the Fly. I don't know how much damage this is going to do, but I have to hope I can survive this, as well as potentially survive all of the moves from this Thievul. We have to go for a charge move against this Pokemon. Sucker Punch doing way too much damage, and I just have to hope that I can reach another Rock Tomb here before getting incinerated. Down we're 3 away, but the Incinerate at the last second ends up knocking us out. Unfortunately, GG to our opponent. Very well played. Next matchup is a Shadow Alolan Sandslash into our Corviknight. Honestly, our backline is a little bit soft to this Pokemon, so I'm pretty happy to see it here. Super effective sand attack damage for once kind of adding up against this Pokemon, so that's nice to see. Corviknight actually having fast food pressure is always a breath of fresh air. They end up coming in with a Feraligatr, a non-Shadow Feraligatr at that. I could have come in potentially with Cradily, but I feel like the non-Shadow is a lot better for Shadow Drapion, where I can no-shield a Hydro Cannon pretty easily. Shadow Claw adds up a lot slower than if they were the Shadow, so because of that, I can no-shield, go for a Crunch, and see what they want to do. In comes the Crunch. They do end up letting that move through. I get a defense drop as well, which is pretty nice. I could shield this up, which I will plan on doing. Go for a full farm down and start throwing charge moves against whatever is going to come in. I'm at a lot of energy here, but I know because they're on Powder Snow on this A-Slash, there's a chance I only get one move off. I'm just going to go for the Crunch and see if I can get a lot of raw damage into this Pokemon. They actually do let them move through, so that's pretty nice to see. I have a lot of energy on my Corviknight, and in the back is a Jellicent. This is a good matchup for Cradily, but down a shield, potentially with a Hex buff, with how strong Shadow Ball is, and potentially with the ability to clear debuffs, this game could get a little bit awkward. Not only that, but they called that the first move I threw would be a Rock Tomb. Good play by them. They no-shield that. If that was a Grass Knot, probably instantly win the game. But because they do no-shield that move, this is going to be a lot more awkward now in this spot. Rock Tomb being thrown, it draws their shield finally from this Pokemon, but I have a lot of energy on Corviknight, and there's a chance here I might survive a move. If it's a Surf, definitely. If it's a Shadow Ball, maybe. I do survive. I am able to get a Rock Tomb off as a parting gift, and now since I have a lot of energy on Corviknight, all I have to do is swap into Corv, go for a move if I can, or if they do throw a move of their own, I can just no-shield this. It's triple debuffed. It's not going to do much damage to us, I say, as we almost get knocked out there, but we're still in a pretty good spot where I can go for an Iron Head against this A-Slash, and then a Sky Attack against that Jellicent, as long as we don't get fast food farm down. We're almost at back-to-back charge moves, so I'm going to go instantly for the attack. I know Hex would do a little bit less damage than these Shadow Powder Snows, and I'm only a couple fast attacks away from this Sky Attack. We're able to outpace this Jellicent and knock them out here. I guess Iron Head could have been enough, but Sky Attack is reached. We're able to win the game. GG, very close match. All right, next game is a Corviknight in the lead up against a Golisopod, a very awkward lead matchup where we don't have a lot of fast food pressure. Sky Attack obviously could one-shot them, but because we are going to be so heavily outpaced, the longer this goes on, the better it gets for this bug and water-type Pokemon. Aqua Jet comes through, it does a decent amount, and after all the fast food pressure, it's actually enough to two-shot us. In comes an Iron Head bait. If they're bold and they call this move, that is catastrophic, but luckily for us, we do get the proper bait off, and now I'm going to come in with our Shadow Drapion and see how our opponent is going to respond. Aqua Jet being thrown almost certainly into us. It's going to get our first shield, and now a Clodsire are going to try to respond to us. And the thing is, I don't fall for the catch. I have a ton of energy on our Shadow Drapion. This might not be the play they were hoping to make. Aquatail number 1 ends up landing. Aquatail number 2 and 3 very shortly after can be thrown. Our opponent does have a lot of energy on that Galissapod, which could be a little awkward to take out, but because I have so much energy on my Shadow Drapion, and because I can overfarm even more, I think using our Shadow Drapion as our win condition is going to be the play in this game. I save all the energy there. I know at this point, if they don't have Stone Edge, they don't have a lot of charge pressure, and even if they do, I think I can survive, maybe get a full farm down. They do have Stone Edge, a little bit awkward for us, and in the back is a Talonflame, so this game is going to be very down to the wire right now. In comes our Sky Attack. It does chip them down quite a bit. I have a lot of energy on Drapion. Unfortunately, I do lag a turn, meaning I have to throw this move a little bit earlier than I'd like. I can't go after 2 or else I'd give them a full Incinerate Sneak, and I do have to throw before their second Incinerate starts if I want any chance at this point of being able to get 2 moves off before Fly would KO our Shadow Drapion. Aquatail ends up knocking out that Pokemon, but with how much energy is on this Galissapod, I was going to say, potentially we're in a bad spot. We go for the crunch. Did they catch the move, or did we end up landing this attack? We landed into the Galissapod there. We're able to now go for the Aquatail into the Clodsire. Our opponent might have misplayed. We'll take it, though. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, a Shadow Typhlosion in the lead. Not a great lead matchup for a Steel and Flying type Pokemon, especially when your opponent has access to both a Fire and an Electric type attack. I go instantly into Shadow Drapion. Aquatail gets a very early shield. If I can get shields down, then honestly, it's not as bad for me later on. In comes an Azumarill, a Pokemon, which is a little bit troublesome for all my energy that I have loaded. But if I can get defense drops, then these crunches, these poison stings, are going to start adding up. Our opponent does go for a no shield, obviously. If you see the Aquatail, there's almost no way I'm on like Aquatail and Sludge, right? Or Sludge Bomb. If Shadow Drapion got Sludge, that'd be kind of crazy. Another crunch comes through, but they're able to farm us all the way down. No, not quite, actually. I make a last-second decision to swap out. I see the switch clock comes up right before I get bubbled down. We save an Aquatail, which could be critical against that Shadow Typhlosion later on this game. We also have to keep in mind, it's a Shadow Typhlosion. It's going to take a lot of Sand Attack damage. It's also going to take a lot of Sky Attack damage. But man, the final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Drifblim. I was hoping their best answer to Corviknight was going to be that Typhlosion, but Drifblim, able to survive a move, and our Fast Food Pressure does almost nothing to them in this game. Cradily is going to try its best, but we have no fast food pressure. Honestly, our whole team is just completely walled off fast food pressure-wise by this Shadow Drifblim, so it's going to be pretty awkward. Icy Wind ends up drawing our first shield. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can here. I know we need energy for that Typhlosion in the backline. It's fine if I get double debuffed at this point. I'm still going to one-shot a Shadow Typhlosion because of how squishy it is. In comes the charge move into the Drifblim, and depending on what they do here, this game could be a win, it could be a loss. Let's see what our opponent is going to do. I have the Aquatail loaded. They come in with the Azu, which in my opinion is a misplay by coming in Azu here. That's going to make it so now I can knock this Pokemon out with a charge move and then potentially get an Aquatail off into that Drapion or into the Shadow Typhlosion from our Drapion. They actually end up catching. It doesn't really matter if they catch or not here because I have 2 charge moves, one for this Pokemon, one for the Azu. I get one more Bullet Seed as Fast Food Pressure. I have the Aquatail loaded. Is this enough for the Azumarill at this point? I just have to hope that Drapion has enough attack to knock them out, and it is just barely enough to win us that match. GG to our opponent. Very cool team, very close match. Next game, a Shadow Drapion in the lead, a very neutral lead. You might expect that to be just a good lead for a Steel type with a Ground type fast move, but it's honestly a little bit more awkward than you might expect. They say swap though with a Lapras. I have Sky Attack ready to go. Lapras is not a great answer here to Corviknight, especially because these Sideways, while they are going to add up, do not really put me into double Sparkling Aria range, at least not in the lower shielding scenarios. In comes Sparkling Aria. It's going to do a decent amount, but we're still above half HP. We go for another charge move, but not before our opponent can throw another attack. There is a case to be made, though, to swap out at this point. I don't know if we want to stay in and waste our Corviknight completely, but what I'm going to do instead is going to go for an Iron Head now, try to draw a shield, or just put them into a nice farm down range. Iron Head being thrown, it does draw a shield, and now, good counting by them, they throw right before my next Iron Head, but this is a massive farm down range for either my Cradily or potentially my Shadow Drapion. I think Cradily would get a little bit more mileage out of this energy lead because that Drapion in the backline, while it is generally a good answer to Cradily, does not want to take 2 Rock Tombs. If they don't swap out now, then they're going to give us about 100 energy, and if they do swap out, then we can debuff them and maybe even come in with our Shadow Drapion after the fact. Rock Tomb being thrown, our opponent opts to let it go, which is nice to see, saying Rock Tomb is going to do a lot more damage to them than an Aquatail from my own Shadow Drapion would do, and after that debuff, I'm pretty sure I can survive these 2 Aquatails extremely easily. No reason to ever shield. We still have our Cradily in the backline. It's really going to come down to what that final Pokemon is to see if we can win this game. Alcatel comes to it, gets a knockout. What is in the back? It's an Azumarill, which in general is a very good matchup for Cradily, but if they can farm us down at some point with this Azu, it could be a little bit awkward having Ice Beams thrown into our Grass-type Pokemon. In comes our Poison Sting damage. We don't get a debuff with that first crunch, but I have a second one ready to go. Poison Sting is adding up. What is our opponent going to do? When do they throw a Charge Move, and when do they shield? They opt to let that move go. At this point, I have so much Fast Move and Charge Move pressure. I'm not in Bubble Down range. I'm going to shield this attack, go for an Aqua Tail of all things. They didn't shield our crunches. They're going to be forced into shielding Aqua Tails, which is even worse for them to have to do. In comes the first shield. Our opponent is now going to take yet another Aqua Tail Drapion, just a little bit too spammy for Azumarill to deal with. Aqua Tail might not be enough to knock out, but it will put them into a nice Bullet Seed down range. Cradily is able to Bullet Seed down the Lapras, go for a charge move now against the Azu, and we're able to take the win in that match. Cradily is just kind of a monster, you know, these debuffs with Rock Tomb, that would be enough to make it a good Pokemon, but the amount of damage Rock Tomb can do, as well as the flexibility of a Rock and Grass-type Pokemon offensively, it is just such an interesting pick right now in the meta. Tinkaton is going to try its best to wall off this energy, but even then, that matchup is not completely one-sided. You spam out debuffs, you make it so the Tinkaton's attack is lowered just enough, eventually you'll start having play. All right, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and you want to see more content like this on the channel, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.